Thanks for tuning into the Market Wrap. I'm Niraj Shah. With me will be Nickey Mirchandani. And it was a gritty affair today, you would have to admit. Yeah. As much as the Dow futures, which were down, or Dow, which was down yesterday, and the Dow futures were up today when we were trading, kind of pointed towards that, right? That the sentiment coming in wasn't the best, but maybe the weekend could be better. I think that's what the Nifty did. It didn't do anything. It just stayed grittily at the levels that it was at, and enough attempts for the index to come off, etc., but not quite there. So what happened today was a day of technology to come back. So you actually had, yeah, as you can see on your screen, right? Wipro, Tech Mahindra, TCS, the tech names came to the party a bit, and that helped. Reliance was absent in large parts from the gainers list in the session today. So that was it took a bit of a breather, and which is why we needed tech to come to the party. That aside, not too much. I mean, a couple of rate sensitives, the losers of the last couple of days, the likes of SBI, etc., did okay. But Bharti Airtel continues to grind lower, and somewhere I think the next trigger from a ARPU or a price hike is probably the thing that can save the bulls in this stock, brother. Because otherwise, uh, right from the levels of 550 when the AGR verdict came out, the stock has gone one way, and that is down. Well, whether the FTSE, MSCI selling, etc., all coming to a close might aid remains to be seen. We had a bit of a down day too in the session today. So all in all, a nothing kind of a day from an index perspective. The broader end of the spectrum was interesting simply because there were enough and more stocks which were attempting, make long moves, but they were few and far in between on which succeeded. And they were largely in the pharma and the IT space. So as you can see, the market breadth was okay, but Strides, Coforge, a couple of names, Hindustan Zinc, and I think the Vedanta announcement that came in today, the Nickey will probably speak about it, but probably depending upon a large dividend from Hindustan Zinc would have led people to believe that there's a dividend that will be coming, which will be large in nature, and therefore that stock doing okay. IFL Finance had a decent outing in the session. Adani Green, day of results, and that stock went up about 5%. And Dish TV continues to be on an uptick, so another 5% in the session today, which didn't do well. Amber corrected 7.5%. Dixon corrected a couple of percentage points. Deepak Nitrite corrected about 3%. Granules corrected 4%. So a lot of these stocks in which there are long-term investors investing at all levels saw a bit of a pullback in the session today. Nickey, what stood out in specific trade, and what are the reasons for some of the stocks to move the way they did?
Sure, I'm going to be starting off with Hindustan Copper because the numbers have come out. But what was really exciting was the fact that the board decided that it's going to be, the announcement of fundraising. At this point of time, the board said that it has deferred the plan for a bit because of paucity of time at the board meeting that it held yesterday for discussing results. But then nevertheless, it's going to be raising in money, 15% of the overall capital to an extent of 200 crore. Apart from that, if you look at the numbers, not a bad set of numbers, I'd say, given the kind of performance we have seen from metal companies, at least when it comes to the Q1 quarter. Having said that, there was an early in the morning yesterday, maybe late in the evening, there was a TOI report which suggested that government is planning to restrict copper and aluminium imports. If that were to happen, then clearly you would see Hindustan Copper as the clear beneficiary of that. So on account of that, the 6% rally coming in on Hindustan Copper. Apart from that, Adani Green, really good set of numbers coming in from Adani Green. We saw the stock capturing in as much as 7.5% of gains in today's session. Look at the EBITDA, it's at 13.5% in a quarter like this. Margins at 66%, a tad of, the top line and the EBITDA. If you look at the growth coming in for top line, that's a little on the upside because of which you've seen the margins coming at 66% as compared to 68%. But if you talk about this counter and how it's done, it's a 200% rally that we've seen for Adani Green ever since the lockdown has begun. I mean, if you look at the chart from a period of, say, a 23rd April or 23rd March when the lockdown kicked in, to an amount to a date today, you would actually see that the stock has registered exceedingly good performance, like a 200% gain. So clearly capturing in on that. And of course, third in the list, as Niraj mentioned, was in the Hindustan Zinc today, 7.5% kind of uptick coming in for the stock. Vedanta, there was an announcement which came in that Vedanta Resources, that's the parent of Vedanta India, they would be coming in. They're in talks with banks to raise fund to an extent of $600 million for the planned delisting of the Indian unit. And this $600 million is likely to be raised in a span of next 3 to 6 months as a loan, which will be backed by dividend or cash accrued from the subsidiary Hindustan Zinc. Clearly, which led to the speculation that Hindustan Zinc will be giving out a huge amount of a dividend, which will also be beneficial for the minority shareholders. On the flip front, we have PVR, which actually, it was a down session of trade today for PVR. But if you look at the performance of this counter for the last 7 out of 8 trading sessions, the stock has been ending in red. And, it's going to be reporting in numbers on a Monday. So clearly, you're seeing some amount of negative reaction before it could come in with the numbers as such. But what was really interesting, Niraj, that I'd like to highlight is the kind of subscription that we're seeing for all the IPO counters, whichever companies which are coming out for IPO. Of course, Root Mobile also met with a decent amount of subscription, 28.3 times subscribed the last time that I checked. But nowhere compared to the kind of demand that we saw for Happiest Mind Technologies, which was subscribed by a good amount of 150 times, probably the fifth most subscribed IPO that we've seen in the last 5 years. But nevertheless, the numbers look quite encouraging, and the subscription rate clearly shows the kind of appetite that the market has at this point of time. Niraj, back to you.
Yeah, Nickey, I mean, for quality paper, we have seen that the appetite is certainly there, as it's evident in the way people are lapping up Reliance as well, right? I mean, so there is appetite. Root Mobile, I think by the time we shut shop today, could well be much higher than the 28 times as well. It won't compare to Happiest Minds, of course, but would be interesting. So we'll get the subscription numbers by end of day today. Very quickly, Nickey, is there something on the results front that one should watch out for next week?
Yeah, sure. As I just mentioned, it's Monday that we have PVR results, because of which you've seen some amount of negative traction building in for the results. And also, Vedanta will be coming in with results next week. So we're going to be keeping an eye out on that, especially when it comes to the delisting plans and the kind of announcement when it comes to the fundraising. How would it deal with the dividend pattern? Very, very bleak chance that it'll answer the questions. But then, nevertheless, we will keep an eye out on the commentary more than the results.
Yes, indeed. Well, thanks, Nickey, for that. It'll be interesting to see what the big boy does now that it's so close to the delisting process. And of course, we'll watch out for the subscription numbers of Root Mobile, which is still on as we speak. But with that, it's a wrap on this leg of the market wrap from Nickey and me and the team that put this piece together. Thanks so much for watching. Do watch out the US markets or the futures as we shut shop, what trading in the green. If indeed that continues, then we might actually have some decent cues come Monday morning. Okay, let's pull them up since we are there. European markets flattish, but the US futures, the last time I checked, were in the green. If indeed they turn out well, then you might have decent cues come Monday morning. Anyways, thanks so much, viewers, for tuning in. Have a great weekend.